Welcome to my first official 2023 NFL mock draft. We are pretty deep in the season. I already know teams like the Houston Texans are going to have the number 1 overall pick, and a lot of teams have done really bad. A lot of teams have surprised. A lot of teams have done really, really good. But a lot of the analysis that you're going to get in this video have been done in the past, I don't know, 2 days, 3 days. I've been doing a lot of analysis, but I feel like I know what every NFL team truly needs, and I've taken a look at their depth chart, so I'm going to try my best to do the most accurate job I can. There will be some shockers, there will be some picks that you don't like. Just know that it's my opinion. No offense is going to be catered in this video. Crossing my fingers. But we're starting off with the Houston Texans at number 1, and I don't feel like this pick is as straightforward as a lot of people say it is. A lot of people say, okay, the Texans need a QB. It has to be Bryce Young out of Alabama. But even though, yes, Bryce Young undoubtedly has the best talent, he is not my best quarterback in the draft. I prefer CJ Stroud because Bryce Young is 5'11", and he's 190 pounds. And that's a big concern. Even though, I know that he's probably going to prove a lot of those doubters wrong in the NFL, what if he can't? What if he suffers injuries? Why would they risk that? I'm still going to take Bryce Young. He has the best talent in this draft, no question. I feel like the quarterback position just feels natural to him, at least. But I don't know, man. The Texans need a leader, but I don't know if they're going to get one this draft. I don't know if they want to take a quarterback because next year's QB class supposedly is going to be awesome. It has a lot of depth, way more depth than this bad QB class. It just drops off after the top 4. So I think it could happen. They could take Will Anderson Jr. They could take Jalen Carter. It's not as straightforward as a lot of people think it is. Number 2 are the Chicago Bears. And I feel like a lot of teams picking this high will want a D lineman that is versatile. They want a D lineman that has a lot of talents, can do a lot of stuff. And I think personally, to me, for the Bears, that's going to be Jalen Carter out of Georgia. He's just so good. He's my best player in the draft by a mile. And Will Anderson Jr., yeah, he's really, really good. But I think for the Bears, they would just love to have a versatile D lineman / D end, played all over the D line for Georgia this year. Just wrecks offensive linemen completely. Next up, you have the Seahawks at 3. This is probably going to be the most straightforward pick of all time. Not all, that's an exaggeration, but whatever. We're taking Will Anderson Jr. here. I don't feel like this is a struggle even for the Seahawks. They're in a position where they draft best defensive player available. And Anderson, very underrated athlete. He's probably going to run the top time as an edge rusher unless someone, comes out of the blue and shocks like Nolan Smith or something. I think Will Anderson Jr., great raw athleticism, great player just in general. He has the drive to succeed in the NFL. It's just hard to see him fail. The Seahawks actually go with a safe pick here for once in their life. Cardinals at 4, this is the one pick that I've thought about a lot. And no one is going to agree with me, but I see a lot of reason in doing this. I'm going to go Brian Breezy out of Clemson. And I feel like he's the most underrated player, other than guys like Nolan Smith, in this entire draft. And Jalen Jones. Jalen Jones is hella underrated too. You may see him going in the first round in my mock draft as well. But Brian Breezy, so athletic, such a tough player, and like I said, teams at the top will want versatile defensive linemen. Because teams like the Bears, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, they need guys who can play on the interior as well because they just have poor all-around defensive linemen. They want sort of chess pieces to be used on the defensive linemen. You can move them all around. And I think Brian Breezy is exactly that. He's played snaps at DN before, and honestly, he looks better as a DN than a D tackle in some scenarios. So I love Brian Breezy as a player. Of course, never truly played a full season. Injuries, family concerns, with his sister and all. But overall, I think Breezy's just a tremendous player, and the Cardinals would love to have his talent on the field. Lions at 5. This is another one, man. They need a quarterback. Jared Goff is very overrated, but like I said, this quarterback class has too many doubts surrounding it, and I feel like if you need a quarterback, you severely need a quarterback if you're going to take one in the first round in 2023. There's just no way I feel like the Lions take a quarterback here, at least right now. I don't know what their stance is on Goff is. I don't know where they lie on that spectrum. I know a lot of people love him and a lot of people hate him. Personally, I'm just about in the middle. I think the only way they actually take a quarterback, Bryce Young falls all the way to 5. And I don't see that happening in this scenario. So I'm going to go with Myles Murphy. He is a good run stopper and good pass rusher overall. He's not as versatile as the top 3 defensive linemen taken, but he's still really, 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 really good. And alongside Aiden Hutchinson, those two can make a dynamic duo. I think corner is a big need. Corner and linebacker especially. But if you take a look at the corners available, I don't think any of them go at the top 5. I think if you're taking a linebacker, I think you maybe wait until 18 to take a guy like Trenton Simpson or take a guy like Christian Gonzalez, who I think is the best corner in the draft. I don't think he'll last to 18. So maybe take a guy like Cam Smith or Keely Ringo. But for now, there's just no one. I don't think you take Christian Gonzalez at 5. I think that's a bit too much of a risk right now, at least. So I think you just go with a safe player and go Myles Murphy. Colts at 6. This is one of those situations where they need quarterback desperately. They blew a 33-point lead. I understand they probably need defense. But they need a leader. Matt Ryan is not good. They've been shuffling around quarterbacks ever since Andrew Luck retired. So I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud. He's the most accurate quarterback in the draft for me. Just great touch on his passes. And like I said, great accuracy. Great accuracy, especially in tight windows, I've noticed. He's actually really good at making those. But I think he will be able to manage the game. I don't know why. I really feel like if anyone was to succeed in the NFL, it would be Stroud. Because even though he doesn't have, the mobility, the ideal mobility that you would want in a quarterback nowadays, I still think that Stroud has the best accuracy to lead a team into winning the game. So Colts take Stroud at 6. Falcons at 7. I just had a big voice crack. This is a really tough one, man. Like, I would go D-line, but I don't think Tyree Wilson sneaks in at 7. I don't think Nolan Smith goes even close to the top 10 because no one likes him. I love Nolan Smith, but legitimately no one gives a shit about Nolan Smith, so I can't take him in the top 10. It's just not realistic. So now we had to think. We had to think a bit outside of the box. They could go receiver, but I don't know. I feel like they have more dire needs, And I still think a lot of those lie on the edge. And I'm going to have to reach here. I'm going to go Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. And it's not exactly the most ideal pick in this scenario, I understand. But I just can't make myself do it. I actually have a better idea. I'm going to go Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. I was going to go Tyree Wilson. That D-line has not been good, but I just don't think he goes at number 7. A lot of people love Tyree Wilson. I just don't see it. I see whenever you get him going, he's really, really good. He gets a sack. He has good pressure skills, I guess. But I don't think he's even close to comparing with the top edge rushers, the top defensive linemen in this draft. I think at number 7, they take Peter Skoronski. I don't like Skoronski too much as a tackle, but that's probably because of his arm length. I've heard that his arms are really short for a tackle, shorter than Rashawn Slater's in 2021. But Skoronski has great technical ability, and he's a very, very good run blocker. As a pass blocker, I would probably prefer Paris Johnson right now at least, but Skoronski has great versatility, I think, over the line. I think he can be a really good guard in the NFL as well, and I think that's going to be very valuable to a team like the Falcons, who could use a solid offensive lineman. Panthers at 8. This is a quarterback receiver spot. I don't like the way Will Levis has played this year. I think he has tremendous talent, but he made way too many stupid errors and doesn't do too well under pressure. Does Anthony Richardson go in the top 8? That's the main question. Personally, for me, I think Will Levis is a first round talent. Anthony Richardson, top 5, top 3, top 1 ceiling. No one beats him with his potential. Richardson doesn't have horrible accuracy, but he doesn't have very good accuracy. It's very, very inconsistent. So I don't like the quarterbacks available right now, at least. However, they, like the Colts, have been shuffling through quarterbacks for long enough. I'm going to go Will Levis. He has the talent. He just cannot make those stupid mistakes that he's been making at Kentucky this year in the league. He just can't. Eagles at 9. They have the best record in the league. They legit could go best player available. They honestly should not even give a shit. This should be a trade down spot. Maybe even get another unbelievable player. But I would go corner. I love guys like Christian Gonzalez, Cam Smith. They're my top 2 corners in the draft. They're very interchangeable. I don't know who's better right now. Personally, for me, at this moment in time, I like Christian Gonzalez better. I'll take him at 9. It's a risk. He's a bit raw, but overall, I think the Eagles would love to have a good DB. Darius Slay's getting older, and they don't have very good depth at the position either, so Christian Gonzalez will make a good spot on that team. Packers at 10. When was the last time they actually took receiver? Never. They never take receivers in the first round. But I think they're finally going to change that. I really do. I really believe in the Packers front office. It'll just be a tremendous joke if they don't anyway. Christian Watson, fine. Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard, whatever. They're all right. They're, reliable weapons. Christian Watson has the highest ceiling out of the 3. But Quentin Johnston is an unbelievable deep threat with great hands. One of the most underrated players in this entire draft, I feel like. No one really talks about him as much as I think he deserves. Quentin Johnston, great deep route running and great hands, like I said. And he's just not a deep threat. He's just great. That's all I can really say about him. As Raiders at 11, they need a guy like Tyree Wilson. I know I said he doesn't go at 7. He can go in the top first round, like the top half of the first round. The Raiders just need a defensive lineman just in general that bad. Tyree Wilson has potential. Like I said, I don't see him comparing to the top D lineman in the draft, but he's definitely a solid player, and the Raiders love to take their high potential guys. Jags at 12. While a lot of people are saying help Trevor Lawrence, I don't feel like Trevor Lawrence needs a lot of help. Like, I feel like the receivers have been more than adequate there, and the O-line definitely needs help. I would love to go Broderick Jones. He's a top 10 player in the class for me. I really, really love Broderick Jones. But that corner group is horrible. It is disgusting. And I would love to go Cam Smith here. Their defense needs help. Trevor Lawrence just put up 4 touchdowns against a Dallas Cowboys defense that was supposed to be unbelievable. So I think you know where we stand with Trevor Lawrence. He's able to make do with a situation where a lot of quarterbacks just can't. Personally, I think that defense, that corner group, just needs a lot of improvement, and Cam Smith is the best available. Texans at 13. You drafted Bryce Young. You need an offensive weapon. That receiving group is bad. It is horrible. And I would love to go Jordan Addison or Michael Mayer here. I think Jordan Addison, personally, is better because while, he's not the most flashy player, he's played X, Z, slot receiver, and is fast, great hands. He's not going to have the highest ceiling in the draft, in my opinion. But he's always been there, had an unbelievable season this year for USC, and last year for Pitt especially. He's just the guy who's going to be there for you. He's going to not drop the ball. He's going to catch the ball and gain some yards. And that's exactly what the Texans need. They need to move the football down the field. And I think Jordan Addison helps a lot with that. As Steelers at 14, this seems like an O-line spot, corner spot, a lot of spots. This could be anyone here. Personally, I would narrow it down to Broderick Jones and actually, I would say Broderick Jones or Keely Ringo because I feel like his size and athleticism and experience at the position I feel like are very, very valuable. I will go with Broderick Jones. I feel like right now he's the better player. so badly need offensive line, and they need a good guy, a good player who can block up the field, help Najee Harris move the ball because he's just scared to run the ball because that's how bad that offensive line is. You gotta help him, and they have no depth at the position anyway. So Broderick Jones at 14, I think makes sense. Seahawks at 15. This is a tough one. Honestly, though, I think linebacker or corner, either one. I think I'm going to go Trenton Simpson. A guy who I think no one talks about. I think he's so good, by the way, is. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. He has so much athletic, raw potential. It's unbelievable. But, anyways, moving back to Trenton Simpson, versatile player, actually covers tight ends really, really well. He's like Isaiah Simmons, but just a linebacker. He's not going to move back to safety or anything like that. I think the Seahawks could use him like a chess piece, just all around the field, you know? As Patriots at 16, I'm going to make the most Patriots pick of all time. No one is going to like me after I do this. I'm going to go Jalen Jones, cornerback out of Texas A&M. Everyone's going to hate me. But Jalen Jones is really, really good in coverage. I feel like he doesn't make the athletic standards, but there's no white cornerback available, so I had to go with Jalen Jones. Jets at 17. This is an O-line spot, and personally, I think the best guard in the nation this year, I don't even think it really comes close, was Osiris Torrance. He will help the run game get going. I don't really like him too much as a pass blocker, but I think he'll develop in that area. He was really, really good this past year for Florida, and I think he will help the Jets a lot, actually, at guard. Lions at 18, this is the perfect spot. I think defense full first round, you're going Keely Ringo out of Georgia. Like I said, size, athleticism, this guy has it all. He plays quite tight coverage in most situations, great coverage down the field, and can run with or any receiver. He ran with Jamison Williams last year. He's a good athlete. Just, I think maybe sometimes has to play tighter coverage on curl routes or something like that, you know. But he has experience at the position. He's a great corner. Could be argued to be the best corner in the draft, but personally I think it's either Cam Smith or Christian Gonzalez. Buccaneers at 19, I'm going with Anthony Richardson out of Florida. And it's really, really weird, but I think if anyone can succeed on the Buccaneers, it's going to be Anthony Richardson. He has a big arm to get the ball down the field to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, as well as he can tuck it and run. Tom Brady can't do that, which is why he's struggling with the offensive line. There's no, second, he's not a dual threat quarterback. But Richardson, being the top dual threat quarterback in his class, I think could succeed in the league with the Bucs. He just, needs to clean up some of that inconsistent accuracy. At number 20, we have the Tennessee Titans. This is a tough spot. I would love to go Michael Mayer. They need a good weapon in general. They need edge. Jared Verse is a great weapon at edge. But I think their need for a good weapon has just been so easy to see. It's just right there. They have basically XFL talent at receivers. No slander to Traylon Burks and Robert Woods, but I don't even think I can name the rest of the receivers in Tennessee. Personally, I think tight end is a big need for the Titans. I'm going Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Commanders at 21. This is a DB spot for me, but there's not really too many good DBs. Oh shit, Joey Porter's on the board. My bad. Joey Porter's at 21. Chargers at 22. You see, I would have gone Michael Mayer if he wasn't already on the board, but I think since he's off the board, we need I don't even know. They have such a good roster on paper. Like, they should be able to succeed. I think I'm going to go Paris Johnson. It's a really weird pick. He's played guard before. If maybe he can, move around as an offensive lineman. It's a really tough pick for the Chargers without taking Michael Mayer there. Giants at 23. They desperately need help at receiver. even though Daniel Jones is not ideal, he's done enough to guarantee maybe like a one more year as a starter in New York or New Jersey. So it comes down to two players for me because even though Jackson Smith-Njigba probably is the most talented receiver in this class, he didn't play at all this past season. And we know what can happen if you don't play at all for a season. Look at Eli Ricks. Look at how deep he fell in the draft. He's going to be in the second round, but even though he hasn't played terribly, he hasn't played the same. And while they're at different positions, I feel like receivers more physically demanding. I'm scared of Smith-Njigba's, durability in the league. So I'm gonna rule out Jackson Smith-Njigba, although that could be a really, really good player for them. And I'm gonna go Jalen Hyatt over Josh Downs because he's such a big deep threat. He just brings a different game to New York. I feel like he can be so good there. Give him what they couldn't get with Kenny Golladay with physical aspect, with his athleticism. Just burn through the secondary. Now, he will have to improve the route tree, but I think if anyone can develop him, it's Brian Dable because he's been really, really good this year. Ravens at 24. I think DB, especially, is a big need. Although they do need a receiver, I can definitely see them going receiver here. I'm going to go with a corner. That corner group is not good. And I'm going to go with Clark Phillips out of Utah. Has played really, really well this year. Had a very, very good season for him. And had a lot of interceptions, is what I'm trying to say. And he's pretty good in general. So, had a great improvement from last year to this year at least. As Broncos at 25. Of course, traded Bradley Chubb to get here. I believe. It was Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins gave up a first. So, the Broncos need pretty much everything. I've seen that offensive line group. I think their biggest need is an offensive tackle who can really just step up and play well. Like Garrett Bowles was hurt this year, so I'm going to go with DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. I've been raving about this guy the entire year. I saw this guy first in 2021. He is a big-ass dude. He's like 6'8", 360. He's an unbelievably talented tackle and uses his size to full potential. He can easily take out some smaller edge rushers and can easily handle some of the bigger edge rushers as well. Now, isn't the most technical player, and I probably would say Paris Johnson's better than DeJuan Jones because he's a better athlete. DeJuan Jones not much of an athlete, but you look at that frame, it's so hard to pass up. I'm going to go DeJuan Jones to the Broncos at 25. Bengals at 26. This is probably a DB spot, and they're two really versatile guys who I would say are worth taking. Antonio Johnson and Brian Branch. I don't think Devin Witherspoon goes to the Bengals. I think maybe the Chiefs or the Vikings take him. But I would say Bengals invest in corner, just a straight-up corner, and I'm going to go Brian Branch. I feel like he's more of a safety, like where he plays very loose coverage and reads the quarterback's eyes really well. But he and Antonio Johnson have done it all for Alabama and Texas A&M. They've been really, really good. Just even rush to the passer. Played close to the front seven. They've done everything. And speaking of which, I think Antonio Johnson goes to the Cowboys at 27. They need a versatile DB. That defense has struggled against the Jags. They let up 40 points. So, I don't know. I think they could use a good defensive back up there. As Chiefs at 28. This is an interesting spot here. I don't think you go Jared Verse here, even though that would be best player available. That would be like really cool and all. I don't think you go Verse. What would you go? I have no idea. I think if I'm in their spot, I would probably go either Devin Witherspoon or Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think I'm going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba. Just add to that offense, which is already so good. But if Jackson Smith-Njigba's a bust, you don't really need him that much. So you can live with him not playing, in his rookie year. because you already have such an electric offense. But I feel like Smith and Jigba just adds another dynamic, adds to screen passes as well to that Chiefs offense, which would be really, really fun. Vikings at 29, like I said before, I think this is probably going to be Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Had a really, really good year this year, actually. Watched him at the very start of the year. I thought he was pretty solid. Does not have great ball skills. I feel like his physicality is there, coverage skills are all there, tackling skills are all there, but never truly like picked a guy off. He's picked off maybe like one or two passes his entire career, which is quite interesting. But I think he would play really, really well. They need to get younger at corner anyway. As Bills at 30, I'm going Bijan Robinson. It's just hard to see him go anywhere else because Bijan is unbelievable. He's really, really, really good. It's really hard to see him go elsewhere, like I said. And then finally, the Eagles at 31. This is perfect. I feel like the Eagles really killed the draft because they got, in my eyes, the best corner in the draft, Christian Gonzalez. And then they go at Jared Verse. Big athlete and actually really, really good on the field. So, big player as well. Good at pressurizing the quarterback. But that is going to do it for the mock draft. I'm not going to lie. I've tried to record this like 50 trillion times. And it finally came out. I know there's a lot of weird picks in here, such as Jalen Jones going at 16 above Keely Ringo, and then Anthony Richardson again in the first round, Jalen Hyatt going above Jackson Smith-Njigba, and I don't know. It's really, really weird. A lot of D linemen going in the top 5 as well. But that is going to do it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.